This is probably the most filthy and terrifying prison in the world. The crowded living space is comparable to that of Auschwitz. When prisoners were imprisoned in Auschwitz, they would be escorted together. They would all be stripped naked and the guards would check their teeth like animals. Prisoners with ears, hair, and dead limbs had to cooperate with raising their hands and bending down and swatting to prove that they were not hiding anything. Then they just paid attention to taking pictures. At the end of the day, the man immediately vomited. Everyone queued up to enter the ballroom, which was so crowded that the noise was loud. There were no beds, and everyone slept together. People said that the smell of sweat and fishy smell was so strong that they had no place to turn over. If they were not strong enough to resist, they might die that night. The management staff were already accustomed to wrapping them up in plastic bags and carrying them away the night. When drinking water every day, all the urine is squeezed out of the head to grab the meager water source. A disagreement can lead to a physical conflict. And if you fight alone, what awaits you is the Iron Dragon and the fish that will stuff you directly into a coffin-like underground cage until you are convinced. This man is Billy, a philosopher, a boxer, and a muscle man from the UK. He has been playing in underground 3-6 competitions in Thailand. Due to his lack of strength, he was often beaten to pieces. When he had nothing to do, he liked to be alone at home and kowtow. Eventually, he was reported to be imprisoned for possessing Vandruff. I heard that Billy is a philosopher and a boxing champion. The Bath bullies in simple force forced him to do push-ups and poked his butt. Then they used various techniques on Billy. He has a well-developed voice and a pleasant voice. There are many people and many things. Billy wants to run away but is pulled back. He can only endure the humiliation. After bullying Billy, it will also bully others. If they disagree, they are a group of muscular macho crazy tiger monkeys. At night, when Billy gets up at night, a group of macho men directly knock Billy down. Billy is also a big girl. The first time she got on the sedan, she couldn't help it. There were too many fierce people in the fish. Even when the gift cakes came, she was crying in a storm. Billy saw with his own eyes that a little fresh meat was tortured into a fried sausage. After peeling it off, they threatened Billy with daggers not to tell anyone. Billy was so frightened that he dared to fart. The next day, the little fresh meat was hanged. It was easy. After Eugene saw it, why did he die again? A pusher took him away. Billy found Eugene and wanted some medicine. Eugene asked him to take the money. Billy had no money and was insulted. Billy got angry and started fighting with Eugene. Billy bit off one person's ears in a rage. A group of prison guards rushed forward and carried Billy away as he was in shock. When he woke up, Billy's feet were handcuffed and chained. Billy knew that if you want to survive, you can only let him swallow his voice. Build a good relationship with the prison guards and inmates, and smoke out the smoke. It is even more difficult to collect the inmates together. It is even more difficult to form a family. They were going to use fan blades as weapons to approach this early warning alarm. All the prisoners could not gather in the playground because the fan blades in the room were missing. Just a few minutes ago, 3 prisoners had their throats cut and died tragically. The prison guards began to strictly investigate and search everyone. Soon, the police officers found the prison uniform with Lau Hai next to Billy. Billy hurriedly defended that the clothes were not his at all and did not fit. The prison guard could tell at a glance that the doorkeeper next to him was too aggressive, so he took the doorkeeper away directly, hold him under the loudspeaker, and beat him to death on the spot. The purpose of beating the criminal to death under the loudspeaker was to let all the prisoners hear the criminal's screams, and they laughed in surprise. The doorkeeper's screams spread to every corner of the prison. Everyone's limbs were in limbo, and the air was cold, and they didn't dare to take a breath. After a while, the relationship between Blur and a prison guard became closer and closer, and from time to time, bandrugs could be obtained. Because Billy is a boxer, the prison guard makes a deal with Billy. The prison guard provides medicine to Billy. Billy helps the prison guard teach disobedient prisoners. Every time he gets a favor from the prison guard, Billy will go up and carry the corresponding prisoner away to death. In the end, Billy struck too hard and beat several people to death, which made the prison guards very angry. His behavior of beating the inmates made Billy feel extremely guilty. He wanted to commit suicide by cutting himself off, but was saved by the inmates while serving his sentence. The prison teacher discovered that there was a group of people who were exercising. They were boxers in the prison. So he came to the prison boxing gym and expressed his desire to train, but was rejected. So he found the little girl Tunyonya who bought incense, sent up a cigarette, found the boxing gym coach, and successfully entered the boxing gym. The coach got the cigarette holder and thoughtfully found him a master to be his sparring partner. But in fact, this was for private training. He often took drugs. He had never played in a first-class competition. As soon as he started, he was beaten up and turned into a piece of pig's head. We laughed loudly after seeing it. On the second day, Billy's blood did not stop, but he trained even more crazily. A group of sweaty muscular men slept together again at night. On the third day, they got up and continued training crazily. At the same time, Billy played cards with us at night, won cigarettes, and gave the cigarettes to his childhood birds. He gave Tonio a bunch of cigarettes. Tonio gave him a woman's tenderness. He gained Tonio's private proportions and became even more violent. His fighting power increased by leaps and bounds. Yum also began to be moved by him and began to teach him real kung fu. After practicing the rhythm and skills, only the 2 strong men were left, hugging each other twice as hard and breathing heavily. The whole cell burst out with amazing fighting power. A month later, Billy started to participate in a competition. Billy's ears were smashed and blood flowed. After Billy went up, he kept eating others. He could only outmaneuver his opponent in counterattack when he was not paying attention. The 2 of them went back and forth, calling each other from left to right an infinite number of times. Billy knocked down his opponent twice in a row and received earth-shattering applause. Billy took advantage of the enemy's victory and used the king's 8 punches used by rural women in my country to KO his opponent. He won the victory and received applause from his friends in the apartment and the beauties at the canteen. Because of Billy's impressive record, Billy was admitted to a high-end boxer's cell. He has the privilege and will be the first foreigner to participate in the championship. He must have 2 months to train before the game begins. The warden also brought him a letter from his father to encourage him to train hard before being transferred to a high-end housing unit. Billy and his fellow inmates bid farewell one by one to this scene, which was loved by the people. Everyone was moved when they saw it. Billy trained harder and joined the boxing team. They had a special canteen with 4 dishes and 1 soup. In order to express his determination, Billy even asked the inmates to write 4 words on his back to serve the country with loyalty to the country. It's a small this way. Billy trained with his teammates during the day and trained with Rabbit Ñoño at night. He trained muscles during the day and practiced at night. When Ñoño was hungry, he went to the cafeteria to feast on fish and meat. During the day and night, he worked hard for 8 years and worked day and night. Nutrition had to keep up, but soon Billy, his child girlfriend, actually claimed that someone else was sparring with Billy and wanted to talk to his child girlfriend to argue with him. But the child girlfriend was busy and had no time to talk to. Billy instantly lost his mind and went to the stage to vent wildly. Billy, who had lost his mind, pushed his teammates to the ground and beat them violently. He was eventually taken away by the prison guards and locked up with gold coins. Billy still did not give up training. He went out to the courtyard to perform for everyone and sang a love song in front of Billy. Billy's bones were all numb. His combat power exceeded several million again, and he became more energetic and trained. But during the break, other inmates who were extremely jealous of Billy came to Billy Eaton to retaliate. Then one of the inmates took blood from his body and said that he had AIDS, threatening to kill Billy if he lost. Billy continued to train. He suddenly had abdominal pain and ran to the toilet and vomited a large pool of blood. Long-term use of drugs and alcohol had seriously damaged his stomach function. If he was hit in the abdomen, he might bleed to death. But Billy could only persist, and the game started. Billy was taken to a prison deep in the mountains by the football club. At the beginning of the evening match, the opponent was also a Muay Thai master. The leaders of each prison were trying to get a reduced sentence if he won. If he lost, Billy might be beaten to death on the spot at the beginning of the game. The two sides quickly alternated probing and attacking. The audience shouted, "Gentil Billy received strength," and the opponent knocked him to the ground. Finally, the two entered a hug state. The opponent kept kicking and attacking Billy. Billy broke the axle and the two separated. Billy started to fight back and fell to the ground again. The two hugged Billy again, and he was forced to lower his legs and received a series of vertical punches. Then he fell to the ground, and his opponent kicked Billy wildly in the abdomen. Billy was in pain and couldn't stand it. He simply stood up and could barely support his waist. Billy held on and entered the next round. In order to end the fight quickly, Billy began to attack fiercely, and the northern swordsman couldn't help hugging him again until the end of the round. After the bell rang, Billy jumped to the ground. His opponent saw it and kicked him up. The audience was in a state of silence after seeing this. Billy rolled on the ground in pain and committed a flagrant foul. His moral integrity was reduced by 1,000 Billy, and he gained a passive skill. Continuous reviews increased by 10,000. After coming off the field, Billy gasped in pain. At the end of the second half, the opponent knew that Billy was injured and began to attack fiercely. Billy could only miss the key point, allowing the opponent to hit the building with a critical blow. Billy was thrown to the ground again. Billy's attack continued. Billy received several heavy punches in a row, and his vision began to blur. He used crazy punches again and killed the old master. 10 seconds later, Billy won. Billy couldn't believe it, but before he could celebrate, Billy sprayed a mouthful of blood on the ground and fell unconscious. Billy was hit with a sword and sent to the hospital. A few days later, he woke up. Billy walked around alone outside the hospital and nursed him for so long. It was the first time he ever returned to the real world. It was not impossible for him to escape directly, but it was very likely that he would be caught again and receive a severe punishment. Billy finally returned to the hospital and accepted reform according to the rules. Then he was taken back to prison to continue serving his sentence. After winning the competition, Billy also got the opportunity to meet his family. 3 years later, Billy was sent back to the UK. In 2010, Billy was pardoned and regained his freedom. This is the story of the movie The Messenger from Purgatory. It is adapted from an official event and is a story about sports, inspiration, and self-redemption. Well, that's all the content of this video. Want me to show you more classic movies?